Terminus the Fallen is our newest addition to the realm, and he's also one of our most interesting yet. On the patch preview, they said there was backstory to be found for those that looked through his cards and voice lines, so naturally I went ahead and did some looking around to see what I could find. Now of course, none of this is hard fact until Hi-Rez confirms it themselves, but I think you'll find a lot of what I have to say makes a lot of sense. Now, what can we tell just by looking at Terminus? Well, he's a stone giant like Inara, but unlike her, he is a lot bigger, and he seems like the perfect weapon. A hulking brute that can go ahead and crush and cut down anything or anyone in his way. He also has a few key features separating him from the average stone giant. One is that he has these really big cracks throughout his body. He also has a hole in him with some kind of core in it, and from that hole the cracks spread out, and throughout the cracks there are these purple crystals and energy. This energy even goes ahead and appears in his eyes. Now, we've already seen it. This core is what allows him to self-revive, and it's what's keeping him alive, because at this point, he's basically a walking corpse. But did you notice that his core looks very similar to one of Ash's projectiles? Take a look. It kinda looks like it was fired into him, doesn't it? Now, this leads me to something that the devs said in the patch preview. They said the magistrate commands Terminus, but went into no details on who exactly this magistrate is. This isn't even the first time they've done this. Back when Ash was released, they said that she anchors the army of the magistrate. So Ash is a part of the magistrate, and Terminus is in some way as well. However, I don't think it's anywhere near in the same way. Listen to one of Terminus's introduction lines.
The magistrate commands, I eradicate.
Now listen to a few other lines.
What is the command? Who shall I destroy? As you command, Master.
Ash doesn't address the magistrate like this. Ash more often feels like she's the one in command, while Terminus is addressing the magistrate as Master. You normally only address somebody as Master if you're their student or their slave. Terminus has a card called Power Slave, so I think that's what he is, a slave to the magistrate. Here's what I think happened. For some reason, the magistrate had their sights on Terminus, so they sent Ash to kill him. I can back this up too. Listen to what Terminus yells when Ash kills him in-game.
Not again!
Again? Now listen to two things Terminus can say when he kills Ash.
Now you will break. How does it feel?
It sounds like sweet vengeance to me. So I think it's safe to say that Ash did kill him, but it didn't go ahead and end there. Whether the magistrate's original intention was only to kill Terminus or not, they ended up having another use for him. He has cards called Necromantic Might, Playing God, Abomination, Hulking Monstrosity, and we can rebuild him. They took his broken body and did something to bring him back, but this time under their control. Look at Terminus again. Those purple crystals aren't natural. Inara doesn't have any crystals growing out of her. They made the crystals a part of him, and I think they used Ash's projectile as the catalyst for it. I can't really say for sure why. Maybe because it was already there, maybe because they wanted to constantly remind him of his death. Who knows? But it definitely looks like they added crystals to one of her projectiles, and the rest of the crystals grew out from there through the cracks. On top of that, I want to add that Terminus doesn't exactly like working with Ash, if this spawn line is any indication of that.
Stay out of my way, war machine.
So right now, the Terminus we're playing is a slave under the magistrate's control. They give him orders and he has no choice but to follow them. That's pretty damn dark. Terminus was killed, experimented on, and brought back to life, only to live as a slave and a monster. He even lives every day believing that he is a monster too. When he kills Inara in-game, he says one of these two lines.
What have I done? No, I am a monster!
Now, since he has lines that are specific to Inara, does that mean that he knows her? Well, when he dies to her, he says this.
I deserve this.
But I don't think that's enough evidence. However, in Spawn, he can say this to her.
Inara, you are like me.
And that to me seems like he's never met her before. Now, of course, in-game lines don't necessarily have to line up with the lore of the game itself, but this is all we really have to go off of, so I'm gonna say he's never met her before, or at least he doesn't remember her. Just because two people are the same race doesn't exactly mean they have to be connected. His grief when he kills her might just be because he killed one of his own kind, and if Inara is anything to go off of, the stone giants are very caring and kind people that only wish to protect life. Now, since Terminus thinks he's a monster, and since he is a slave, he wants nothing more than to be free of both of those curses, and at this point, there's really only one way he can do that. Here, listen to what his allies hear when he's alting.
Please, let me die. No! No!
We get to hear some of his real voice there. That's not all of it though. This plays when he's leaving combat with low health.
It's almost over.
Then there's these two lines that play whenever he dies from anyone.
I am free. Thank you.
Terminus wants to die. He wants all the pain and misery to end. He doesn't want to hurt people. He doesn't want to kill people, especially for the ones that killed him. So he wants to die and finally be free of this curse that the Magistrate and Ash put on him. Now, Ash is somebody I want to talk about in detail too, because this all makes her seem like a really bad person, maybe even evil, but we haven't really gotten that vibe from her. All this time, Ash has seemed like a proud soldier, a very brutal and serious one, but not an evil one. She wants to get the job done, but not at the expense of others. One of her introduction lines is,
I can get us out of here alive. Stay close and follow my lead.
That really shows that Ash cares about the ones who stand behind her. It's not like Zin, where he doesn't care at all, because he's evil. There's also this line that Ash can say to Willow in Spawn.
Let me draw their fire, sweetheart. Those leaves aren't going to protect you at all.
That really doesn't seem like an evil person at all, and I don't think Ash is. I think Ash may believe what she's fighting for is right, but she doesn't really have all the details. Leon says this to Ash when she kills her.
I had respect for you, Ash, but I've been wrong before.
When I first heard this, I thought nothing of it really. I thought it was just Leanne taking a jab at people like she does with others. But now that Terminus is out, I think differently. Maybe Leanne considers her a fool for believing it in the first place. Then there's these lines that Talus says to Ash when he kills her.
Can't you see what you're fighting for is wrong? You can be a good person. I won't give up on you.
I think these two lines really back up what I was saying well. Ash is blinded and confused by whatever the Magistrate has told her, and if she knew the truth, she would break away because Ash wants to fight for what's right. Maybe she didn't even want to kill Terminus, but did it because the Magistrate ordered it, and good soldiers follow orders. Now again, none of this is fact. It's mainly me putting things together and speculating. I don't normally make these kind of videos, but I found this so interesting. There's other bits of lore that connect to each other with other characters, like Ceres and Andro knowing each other, and Zin having some past connection with Ying, but none of those have quite as much meat to it as this. There was actually a lot to piece together with Terminus and Ash, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I really hope that we get some real lore for these two soon. A while back on Twitter, Hi-Rez Holt said that lore was hopefully coming towards the end of the year, and I really hope this story is part of that. I'd love to know how close I was to what really went down. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this whole thing. What do you guys think? Is there anything you found that I may have missed? Let me know in the comments below. And that's pretty much it, guys. I want to thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye!
See